Good morning, students. In the previous session, we discussed about the introductory part of moving charges and magnetism. We discussed there about the magnetic effects of current, and we also discussed about the Biot-Savart's law, which is used to find out the magnetic field due to a small current element. And today we are going to discuss about the applications of the Biot-Savart's law for the calculation of magnetic field due to a circular current carrying conductor. Students, in today's session we are going to discuss about calculation of magnetic field due to a circular current carrying conductor only, but in two different situations. One situation will be when we are calculating the magnetic field strength at the center of the circular current carrying conductor, and in the second case we will be considering to calculate magnetic field at a point which does not lie on the center of the conductor. Instead it lies on its axis. That point will not be in the plane of the circular conductor. Instead it will be on its axis, lying away from the circular current carrying conductor. Students, both of these questions are quite important from examination point of view. However, the second one is asked more often in the, if we look into at least last 5-year questions, then we will very commonly find out the second one, that is to find out the magnetic field on the axis. But before we begin, I just want you to keep this thing in your mind. Many a times students get confused when they are asked to calculate magnetic field at the center of the conductor. In that case, they calculate on the axis, and when the question has been asked to calculate on the axis, they solve it for the center. I will keep on reinforcing and reminding you about this fact as we move on in the calculation of magnetic field. You have to be very careful when you get one of such questions in your examination, because it is a very common mistake of the students that I have seen. Uh, Nearly half the time students get confused which question is to be attempted when they are asked about this question in their examination for the circular current carrying conductor. So that's why I am giving you this advice in the beginning, that you have to be very careful while you attempt this question in the exam. You have to be very careful while reading your question. So let us just begin with it. So the first part we are going to start with, that will be to find the magnetic field at the center. So initially students, we are going to consider a circular conductor as it has been shown. We are considering O to be its center, and we are considering A as its radius. Now we are considering the current to be flowing clockwise as it has been shown. When we are seeing that conductor from above, the current is appearing to be clockwise and its value has been considered to be I. Students, we are going to make use of Biot-Savart's law. Students, we know that Biot-Savart's law is actually not applicable for complete long conductors. Instead, it is applicable for the current elements. So if we want to make use of Biot-Savart's law on a complete circular loop, then we will have to use it to find, first of all, the magnetic field due to a small current element. So here we have considered a small current element dl as it has been shown. So the current element will be idl vector, and the direction will be same as that of current. So we'll first find out magnetic field due to a small current element, then afterwards we'll make use of integration to calculate the total magnetic field. So this is how we are going to go. Students, in the previous session we had used the distance between the current element and the point of observation to be r vector. Here in this particular case, that r vector will be a. A is the radius here. It is your choice. You want to use r also, that is also possible, because it is just a symbol, so it's entirely your choice. You can use r vector also. So in this case, instead of r, I am going to use a. So the angle here, we know in the previous case we have considered angle between r vector and dl vector, and that angle we considered to be theta. In this particular case, students, we know that for a circle, this dl is appearing something like a part of a tangent. So we know tangent and radius, they are always perpendicular, and that is why dl vector will always be perpendicular to a. It will always be perpendicular to r vector according to the Biot-Savart's law. So that angle theta which appears in the Biot-Savart's law, that will be equal to sin 90 will be equal to 1. Students, here in this case, the magnetic field is perpendicular inward at point O, that you can find making use of right hand thumb rule on that small current element, and you will get to know that at point O the magnetic field is perpendicular inward, and the small value of magnetic field due to this small current element that we have assumed to be dB vector. So first of all, we are going to, as we have discussed, we are going to find out the magnetic field at the center. Now students, just look at this diagram. The plane of the coil is lying in the plane of this screen. The plane of the coil is same as that of the plane of the screen here, and the direction of current is clockwise, as we have already seen. The magnetic field is perpendicular and it is into the plane. Into the plane means to say perpendicular inwards to the plane of this screen. So in this particular situation, the field is perpendicular inwards, and we have found that direction by making use of right hand thumb rule. However, later on we will discuss one more rule to find out the magnetic field's direction for the case of circular conductor. For the time being, we have made use of right hand thumb rule. Similarly students, if the current was in the opposite direction, then the field would have been in the perpendicular outward direction. So students, this is what is the Biot-Savart's law, that dB is equals to mu naught upon 4 pi ideal sine theta upon distance square. In the previous situation we have considered that distance to be r, that is why there was r square, and here in this case that r is equal to radius of the circle, which we have considered to be a, that is why we are writing here a square. Now we have already found that theta is equal to 90 degrees, so we will just substitute that value here. As a result, this term sin theta term will become equal to 1, and we are left with the remaining terms here. So that angle is theta, theta is 90, that's why sin 90 will be equal to 1, that we will substitute here. And now students, to find out, once we have found the magnetic field due to a small current element, to find out the total magnetic field we will have to go for integration. So we have done that integral. So once we integrate it, we get to know this value. Now students, while we integrate any given equation, what we have to be careful about, the integration is always over that quantity along with which you see d, wherever there is d written. So in this particular equation we see it is written to be dl. So whatever quantity is along with d, over that quantity only we are going to do the integration. So here integration is over length, so integration is over L. So before we start doing the integration, we have to first of all recognize which quantities are dependent upon L and which quantities are independent. We have to recognize the constants and we have to take them outside the integral, because they will not be integrated in any case. Now mu naught upon 4 pi is a constant for a given medium. Current flowing through the conductor also does not depend upon the length of the conductor. Similarly, in this particular situation, the radius of the circular conductor A is also independent of the length of the wire or length of the current element. So in any case, except dl, there is no other quantity which is dependent upon length. So we can just take them all outside the integral, because they are all constant with respect to integration over L. So therefore b will be given by this, the integration is only over dl. Now students, what is the meaning of integral dl? Integral dl is actually summation of dl when dl is very small. So it's a kind of addition of all the dl elements. Now students, this is 1 dl. Similarly, we could have considered 1 dl here, another here. All these small current elements could be considered throughout the length of the circular conductor, and when we'll do the integration, then basically we are adding the length of all these small current elements. So when we add all the lengths which lie on the periphery of this lying on the circumference of this circle, then after adding all those lengths, what we will get? We will get the total circumference of the circle. So here in this particular condition, the integral dl value will give us the circumference of the circle, which will be equal to 2 pi a. So this is what we are left with, mu naught upon 4 pi into this quantity. There will be this I also there, that I is missing. So current will also be there, and the value of integral dl will turn out to be 2 pi a. Now students, there is a square in the denominator and a in the numerator. They will get simplified, and this 2 pi and 4 pi terms also you can simplify. So we are left with this expression, that is B is equal to mu naught I upon 2a. So this is the final result of magnetic field at the center of the circular conductor. Now students, it's your choice. You can remember this result in this form, or you can also remember it in a little less simplified form, that is something like this: mu naught upon 4 pi 2 pi I upon a. There are some benefits of using the formula in non-simplified form. One benefit is mu naught upon 4 pi is a simple value, that is 10 raised to power minus 7. We can directly substitute it in the powers of 10 only. Second, this term 2 pi, this one is also having a relevance. Students, this 2 pi is appearing here because the angle subtended at the center of the circle, that total angle is equal to 2 pi. So if instead of a complete circle, if suppose we are having a semicircle, in that case we can simply change this value of 2 pi with pi, because in the case of semicircle, the angle which will be subtended at the center will be equal to pi radian. So instead of writing 2 pi in this formula, if we just replace it with pi, we get to know what is the magnetic field at the center of the semicircle. Similarly, if we have a situation like this, where we having some part of this circle missing, suppose this angle is say 90 degree, and then remaining angle will be equal to 270, and that angle we can convert into radian in terms of pi, and we can substitute that angle here. This angle, we know this pi is equal to 90 degree is equal to pi by 2, and the remaining angle will be equal to 2 pi minus pi by 2. So this will turn out to be 3 pi by 2. So if instead of this 2 pi I substitute 3 pi by 2, then I get to know what is the magnetic field due to this remaining part of the circle. So if I remember the formula in the form mu naught upon 4 pi 2 pi I upon a, then I can simply change the value of 2 pi. I can replace it with any possible remaining angle of incomplete circle, and I can directly find out the magnetic field due to that incomplete circle, right? So it's your choice. You can remember it in this form, and if you remember it in this form, which is a less simplified form, then it will be useful particularly for the situations where the circle is incomplete. Alright, so let's now move on further. So these things we have already discussed, that these are the constants, and the integral of dl was 2 pi a. And now we will try to draw a graph between magnetic field strength and distance. Students, as you can see here, magnetic field is inversely proportional to radius. It is not the distance from the circle, it is the radius of the circle. So basically, when we are talking about the center of the circle, we have already fixed the location of the point of observation. So the only variation that we can see, that will be the variation with the change in size of that circle. That if we keep on changing the size of the circle, if we change the radius of the circle, how will the magnetic field change? So that variation we are going to consider. As we can clearly see, B is inversely proportional to A, so the variation will be inverse proportional variation, as we can see here. So this was the question to find out the magnetic field at the center of the loop. Now students, when the question have been asked in the question that find the magnetic field at the center of the circular loop, then only you will solve this question. If the question is find the magnetic field at a distance r from the center of the loop, and the point is lying on the axis of the circle, in that case this question will not be solved. For that situation we are going to consider another question. So let's just move on. So as a special case of this question, we are going to consider the situation of semicircle, that we have already seen that instead of 2 pi we will replace it with pi, and we get to know what is the new formula. We know for the case of a circle this was the formula, and for the case of semicircle this value will become 1/2 of this. So you can write it in terms of pi, and you can also simplify, just write it in the simplified form. So whatever is the magnetic field of the complete circle at the center, For the semicircle, that value will be reduced to 1/2 of that. So here in the previous formula there was 2 in the denominator, and in the case of semicircle the formula will have 4 in the denominator. So now we will see how to draw the magnetic field lines for the case of circular conductor. For the case of a circular loop, students, we have considered a plane which is perpendicular to the plane of the screen, and we have considered a circular current carrying conductor which is lying in the plane of the screen. Now students, we will draw two diagrams, one when the coil has been assumed to be lying in the plane of the screen, and in the second case we will consider the loop to be lying perpendicular to the plane of the screen. In both the situations we will show how the field lines look like. In the examination, if you are asked to draw the magnetic field lines, then it will be entirely your choice in which plane you want to show the current loop. Accordingly, your field lines orientation will appear slightly different. So let us see. See students, the field lines of the loop near the current wire is circular, just like that of a straight conductor. And as we keep on moving towards the center of the loop, what do you see? The field lines become less curved, they become more and more straight, and near the center of the loop the field line is almost straight. So this is the variation. So near the wire the field lines are circular, and as we keep on moving towards the center the field lines become more and more straight. And similar way, if we consider the loop to be lying perpendicular to the plane, now this loop is actually perpendicular, it is something like extending upward from the plane of the screen, and in this case the field lines will be something like this. Again the same situation is visible. Near the center the field lines are straight, and as we move near the wire the field lines become more and more curved. So this is the drawing of the magnetic field lines due to a circular conductor. That may also be asked in the examinations. Okay, now the second question for the circular loop is to find the magnetic field on a point which lies on the axis of the loop. So that is the axial, that point is called the point lying on the axial line. So let us see how do we solve it. Students, see, here I am considering a current loop which I am considering to be lying perpendicular outward to the screen. So this is something like standing on the screen. So this circular loop is not in the plane of the screen, it is perpendicular to the plane of the screen. We have considered it to be perpendicular so that we can see the magnetic field in the plane of the screen, right? So we have considered a circular loop which is perpendicular to the plane of the screen, and O is its center point. We have considered A to be its radius, and the current has been considered as shown. Current I is flowing through this loop. And then we consider a point P which is not lying on the plane of the loop, which is not lying anywhere on the loop. It is instead lying away from the loop, but it lies on a line which joins center of the loop with that point. It is the axial line of the loop, it is along the axis of the loop. So that point of observation has been considered on the axial line, and the distance of that point of observation from center of loop has been considered to be x. So we have to find out the magnetic field at point P which lies on the axis. Now students, see here, the distance of the point of observation from a current element has been considered to be r. Now students, what do we know? We are going to make use of Biot-Savart's law, and for applying Biot-Savart's law I need to consider a current element, and that current element has been considered to be here. That current element is lying here. So we have to find out the distance of point of observation from current element, not from the center of loop. So that is why we have considered that distance to be r. From this right angled triangle we can clearly see the value of this r will be equal to, using Pythagoras theorem we know this r will be equal to x square plus a square, its square root, right? So the distance of the point of observation from the current element will be equal to x square plus a square, its square root, using Pythagoras theorem. Now students, see, this thing is a little confusing thing here. That angle is actually not appearing to be 90 degree, but it has been mentioned to be 90. Basically students, this diagram is actually a three-dimensional diagram, so we have to be careful why that angle has been written to be 90. If we see one part of this circular loop from the top, now I'm watching the loop from the top and the point of observation is lying somewhere here. So if I join that slanting line with that point, then I clearly see this angle under any situation will always be 90 degree when I'm seeing from the top of this circular loop, right? So that angle has been mentioned to be 90 degree, which is not appearing to be 90 here because it is a two-dimensional figure, but this diagram is actually in the three dimensions. So that is why you have to be careful that this angle here is of 90 degree. Now, so what we are going to do, we'll use the Biot-Savart's law to find out the magnetic field at point P. So this is the current element at point C we have considered. Now using Biot-Savart's law and making use of the right hand thumb rule, we will try to find out the direction and strength of the field at point P. So magnetic field has been found to be in this direction. Students, see, B vector will be perpendicular to both R and DL. Now DL is actually in the perpendicular inward direction in this particular figure, and it will be perpendicular outward according to the direction of current, and R will be in the plane, and DB has to be perpendicular to both of them. So the direction of DB is as shown. Now students, what we are going to do, we are going to resolve this DB into components. We are considering this angle to be theta, and similarly if I consider a perpendicular line here also, so this total angle will be 90. So if this is phi, this will be 90 minus 5, and again this will turn out to be phi. So I'm going to resolve this dB into two components. So one is dB cos phi and other is dB sin phi. Now students, be careful, this angle phi is different from theta that we will be using in the Biot-Savart's law. The angle theta is angle between DL and R, and that angle we have shown to be 90 degrees. So here in this case also theta will turn out to be 90, and this is another angle that we are considering, that angle is phi, which is different from theta. So we have resolved this dB into two components, and the resolved components are dB sin phi and dB cos phi. And similarly students, now we are going to consider another current element that lies in diametrically opposite end of the current loop. One end we have considered to be point C, other end we will consider the point D, and then we will consider its magnetic field also. So its magnetic field we have found to be this. See students, its distance is same, therefore the strength of the field is going to be same, because there is same current, same angle, same distance, everything is same, therefore the strength of the field is going to be same. So the direction of the field will be different because the location of the current element is different here. So here magnetic field turns out to be in this direction, and we can resolve this also into components considering the same angle, because every other symmetry situation indicates the angle is going to be same. So we have resolved it. So clearly what do we see? We see these components, the cos phi components they have come out to be opposite to each other. Their strengths are same, their directions are opposite, therefore these cos phi components will cancel out, and the net field will turn out to be due to addition of all the sin phi components. Now students, here in this particular situation we have considered only 2 points which are lying at diametrically opposite locations. Similarly, we can consider two such points which lie somewhere here and here, and similarly we can consider two current elements which lie here and here, and due to all those components, what do we see? We see all the cos phi components will keep on getting cancelled out, and their sin phi components will keep on getting added up. So what we have to do is, to calculate the total value of field strength, we will have to add up all the sin phi components, and those sin phi components will on addition or on integration will give us the resultant value of field. So let us just move on now. So the plane of the coil is considered perpendicular to the plane, and the direction of field is in the plane of the screen. And second thing is, at point C and D, the current elements x, y, x dash, y dash are considered, so that at one end the current is outwards, and in other case the current is inwards. Now students, the calculation part, we are going to see how to make use of Biot-Savart's law to find out the field at point P. So students, here we will make use of Biot-Savart's law. So the same diagram as we have seen in the previous screen, we are going to make use of it. Students, see here, the value of magnetic field according to Biot-Savart's law should be mu naught upon 4 pi ideal sine theta upon r square, and clearly we see the value of theta here in this diagram is equal to 90 degree. Therefore magnetic field will simplify to this value, sine theta will be equal to sine 90 equal to 1. Now all the dB magnetic field values for the diametrically opposite ends will be resolved into components, and as we can clearly see, the cos phi components will keep on getting cancelled out, and the sin phi components will be added up. Therefore the net field will be equal to this value, integral dB sin phi. So what we have to do is we have to integrate only the sin phi components. The cos phi components, they have already cancelled out, right? Now students, instead this sin phi, it has already become equal to 1, and this sin phi component, this theta component, that has been eliminated after substituting theta equal to 90. This term is a new term now. This is sin phi because we are going to integrate only the sine components. The cos components have got cancelled out. Otherwise what we would have done, the calculation of B will be equal to dB, but now this complete dB is not needed, only its sin phi component is needed because cos phi components are cancelled. So when we integrate it, again the integration will be only over length, and we have to substitute these values. Here sin phi can be calculated using this triangle, this right angle triangle. Here the perpendicular is A and the hypotenuse is R. So sin phi will be equal to A upon R, and we already know the value of R is equal to A square plus X square raised to the power half, its square root. So the value of B will be equal to this value. So when we have to do the integration will be only over dl, because all other terms does not depend upon the variation in length. Current is a constant, radius is a constant. These values we have substituted. Instead of r, we have substituted this value, a square plus x square raised to the power half. After taking its square, this power half will be cancelled out, and we have simplified it. Now students, just like in the previous question, when we'll do the integration of length, all these dl lengths on the circumference of the loop will be added up, and we will be left with integral of dl equal to the circumference, that will be equal to 2 pi a. So let us just simplify it. So we get this result. The integral of dl will turn out to be 2 pi a, and all other values of sin phi and the value of r that we have already substituted there. So when we simplify it, this a will come here, and this pi into a square is basically the area of the circle, or we can just simplify this pi term with this pi, and we can just simplify it further. So we get this as the result after simplification. So students, this is your final result of the magnetic field at a point lying on the axis of the circular loop, lying at a distance x from the center of the loop. So this is your result, and then afterwards we will see we can make use of this result to find out the magnetic field at the center of loop also. Students, we know if we take this point to be lying on the center of the loop, then the value of x will turn out to be 0. So if we substitute the value of x to be 0, then we see what happens to the result. So this was the result that we have already found. So here, if we want to find out the magnetic field at the center, then we simply substitute the value of x equal to 0, and we simplify it. Then we get the same result as we have already found in the first situation. So that is mu naught I upon 2a. And second case we are going to consider, if the point of observation is lying quite far off, that means to say the size of the circular loop can be neglected in comparison to the distance of the point of observation. That means to say if x is very large as compared to a, in that case what will happen? In that case, a square can be neglected in comparison to x square, and the simplified result will become equal to this. So here in this result, a square has been neglected. When this a square will be neglected, what we will be left with? X square raised to the power 3 by 2, it will become x cube. So that x cube appears here. So this is the magnetic field, and now we will see how does the value of magnetic field vary with distance for this particular situation when we have considered it to be a very small loop and the point of observation is very far off. So we will show inverse cube relation there. So this will be the nature of graph which shows the inverse variation of magnetic field. So the value of magnetic field will be the strongest when we are at the center, and as we move on both the sides of the loop away from the center, the magnetic field will keep on decreasing. Students, so this is it about the applications of the Biot-Savart's law. So two cases we have done. One is to find the magnetic field at the center, and second is to find the magnetic field at a point on the axis of the circular loop. The numerical questions related with these topics, I will take them up in the next session. So all the numerical questions which are from NCERT and from the previous CBSE questions, so that we'll take up in the next session. Thank you so much.